Hey, Coach. Sorry I'm late. You know, the kids decided to put popcorn in my car. Thought that was funny. Kids nowadays, I don't know why they think that's funny. But anyway, I know you guys said that you wanted me to look at some guys that are going to change the program. And I just got to say, I think I have the guy for you. Look at this film. Yo, what's good, YouTube? This is Jay from Ncaa, and welcome to the recruiting special here in season number 2. We go into conference play 3-1, and we are at our bye week. And what a start it's been for this Charlotte team, especially defensively. Now, we saw Bo Bell last week. He is the top player in North Carolina, top athlete, top prospect, whatever you want to call him. And he is, sure enough, going to be headed to North Carolina. It's a matter of when, not if. Now, we still do have 2 recruiting pipelines. They're Georgia and North Carolina. I'm going to quickly show you guys recruiting rules. Now, for the most part, I'm not going to touch these at all. But I think that, you know, early on when you are restricted to recruiting just 1 stars and 2 stars, it can get a little boring. So I think I'm going to start loosening it up in-state. So I'm going to have it so maybe I can go after any prospect in-state as long as they're not a 5-star prospect right now. And just so that I have competition in recruiting outside of the state, I will not do that. So that will start next year. This year we will still go by the normal recruiting restrictions we have. But let's just look at our squad and look at the seniors we had to replace. Riv Johnson and Mick Lott are both graduating, meaning that we're going to have to get 2 new outside receivers. They both play on the outside. Devon Cash plays in the slot, so we will have to replace them and see what we can do in recruiting. Now, we just got a good look at Brooklyn Santana. He's definitely a candidate. He is going to need some work, though. His route running is going to need to improve. But looking at the rest of the roster here, Lee Elmer is at defensive end. He has been pretty good for us. I mean, stopping the run has been his specialty. I really love what he's doing this year. Octavius Oakley is a junior, so I'm going to need to recruit a linebacker to eventually take over for him. And then Max Liebem, who has shown up the last couple of games, he has been very good in his senior season in the nickel corner position. And then Kevin Scott at senior, we're definitely going to need to replace him at safety, and we're going to see what we can do in recruiting and going after our next guy as the starting strong safety. Now, we got a good look at Brooklyn Santana. He is by far the #1 recruit on our board. He is very athletic, very fast. He won the Junior Olympics gold medal, and he is going to be hopefully heading to Charlotte, North Carolina, and playing for the 49ers. It would be an awesome find to have a guy that's a playmaker like that. We don't have that right now. We don't have a guy that's going to burn the top off of a defense. We haven't been able to go deep too often, but the times that we have, we haven't really been able to connect there, and that's hopefully something we can clean up. Now let's look at the rest of the recruits. How about Luis Osorio? And he's going to be a really good linebacker. He is just instinctive. These highlights are him just being around the ball. That just shows how good he is. Every single play, he's just around the ball. He's always in the right place at the right time. He may not put up the big stats, but he's going to be a guy that can contribute right away if we really need him to. Now, I want to talk about defensive line. We have done excellent at stopping the pass, but stopping the run has been our weak spot. And that's where we look at Jake Lee. He is a tweener, 6'3", 315. He can play the 3 technique or a nose tackle if he really needed to. I really like him. We are in the top 3. We'll see if he does end up coming to our school, but he is actually very, very good. We do need to start thinking about our next wave of offensive players. Brooklyn Santana leads the way, but how about Ncaa Labata? He is a very, very good running back. He's more of a one-cut guy, but he has the speed to break away for these long runs, as you see right there. And one thing that he does lack is that shiftiness, but I think he can develop that. And watching a guy like Benjamin Duke, who is a freshman who's going to be here all 4 years, and watching, a guy like Calvin Joshua, we'll see what he can do with maybe developing into maybe more of a shiftier back. But he's more of a one-cut back, and that's what I like about him. He doesn't go down on first contact. He reminds me a lot of Jordan Howard, who's a good one-cut back. And at Indiana, Jordan Howard was very good. And I think that Labata has a chance to be, if not better than he was at the college level. Now, on the other side of this game was wide receiver Dontrell Jones. Very, very good. Sure-handed outside receiver. That's what we need, because missing Mick Lott and also Riv Johnson, and we're going to need to replace them on the outside. Now, Riv Johnson has been up and down in his career. We definitely thought that he would kind of be a speed guy for us, but he's been okay. But we do need a guy that's going to be sure-handed like Mick Lott on the outside, and seeing that Brooklyn Santana is going to be not a boom or bust player, but a guy that's going to stretch out the defense, we need a kind of a sure-handed guy on the outside, and I think that Dontrell Jones is going to contribute there and be a good asset for our future squad. Now, we are graduating one senior at quarterback, but we do want to always carry 4 quarterbacks. So that's where we go after quarterback Jeffrey Johnson. If the season ended today, we would only have 2 on the roster. Jeffrey Johnson could possibly be the 3rd. Now, he is kind of a project. He is huge, though, 6'5". If it doesn't work out at quarterback, he can definitely play some tight end or even receiver. And he is extremely mobile. He can extend plays. He can do it all. But one thing that he definitely needs to work on is reading defenses. At the high school level, you're not asked to do that much. It's kind of a 1-read, 2-read type of feel as a quarterback, unless you go to one of those prestigious big Texas schools. You're not really reading defenses with the high school level plays, but he's going to definitely need to work on that. But he is extremely mobile, and he's a playmaker at quarterback. I still think he's a couple of years away, though, so we'll have to see how he develops if he does commit to Charlotte. Now, at strong safety, we do need to replace Kevin Scott, who has been very, very good for us, is Mike Ross. He is the number 23 ranked safety in the country out of Atlanta, Georgia, 6'2", 170. He's going to need to put some weight on him, but I'm not really that worried about it. Our strength and conditioning coach will get him up to speed. His top schools right now are Florida, Texas, and Charlotte. So we're going to need to compete with some pretty big schools, and I know Florida's going to be on him. Getting a good safety and pulling him away from Georgia is definitely probably going to be a priority for them. So we'll have to kind of key on Mike Ross more in recruiting. So let's just look at our full board here, as Brooklyn Santana is our number 1 recruit. You can just see he is a speed demon. He only has 23 strength, though. He is not that strong, but honestly, putting the weight on him and getting him away from the track and field sector and putting him into the weight room, onto the football field, putting that football strength on him will probably be a priority for us right away. He's 5'10", 178, but we are in the driver's seat. Hopefully he commits soon. Luis Osorio is really good. I think that, one thing that, like I said, I covered before is that his play recognition is very good out of the gate with 75, which is high for an incoming freshman, but he is highly touted. You can see all the teams that have offered him. That's how good of a playmaker he is. He was once discovered at a high school combine and a 7-on-7 scrimmage in his local town. And since then, his recruiting has taken off. He's a number 13 middle linebacker in the country. Now, Ramirez de los Carlos is a very good linebacker as well. He can play all 3 positions, meaning defensive end, edge rusher, and linebacker. I think, the one thing about him is that he is going to be a guy that's going to have to be a pass rusher primarily. He is very, very athletic. His block shed is going to come in pretty high, and I think that this is a guy that we really, really could use, especially getting after the quarterback. Right now, I would say that Gary Anderson is the one pass rusher we can depend on week in and week out. Besides that, I'm not really sure right now. We don't still have that elite pass rusher. We're still looking for that. I think De La Carlos can handle that role. Now, Seth Clark is a very good cornerback. I think that he could contribute in the nickel. So I think right now it's pretty clear cut that Vincent Youngblood and Kevin Knox are on the outside. I think that Seth Clark can come in and compete right away because remember, Max Liebum Jr. is graduating as a senior. Now, Jake Lee, I said, is a tweener. He can play the nose tackle. He can play defensive end. He's not an edge rusher. He's too big for that, but he is very good. Out of Wilmington, North Carolina, we are second to Marshall, so we're definitely going to need to ramp up recruiting on him. Now, we are in the top 3 of Mike Ross. The issue is Florida and Texas are competing with us. He does want to go to a prestigious school, so we're going to need to put our best foot forward in recruiting. You can already see those other 2 schools have offered him along with Ball State, but he's not even thinking about Ball State here. It's between Florida, Texas, and Charlotte. I'm wondering which way he is going to sway. We do have 115 bonus points because of the Pipeline State edition, but we'll have to see how that goes. He's going to be a guy that's going to contribute right away, probably with Kevin Scott graduating. So we definitely want to get him into the program. Now let's talk about a guy that's just like uber athletic and just a physical freak. It's going to be TJ Winston at outside linebacker. He is 6'5". He's going to be bigger than everybody else, stronger than everybody else. Well, what about his technique? I'm hoping that he can come in with better than C power moves, D finesse moves, or D block shedding, because right now all he has is the size, 6 foot 260. And we are, close to home for him. It is a Pipeline State. So I'm hoping that he will come. And right now we are way ahead of Georgia State. So we should secure him. Now, I highlighted Dontrell Jones as being that sure-handed outside receiver. I'm definitely looking forward to having him on campus. He's probably going to play pretty soon, sooner rather than later. Doesn't have the elite speed, but he is going to be a guy that's going to run excellent routes as an incoming freshman and just be a leader. I do need another leader in this receiving core. Hopefully Devon Cash can kind of tutor these young guys up because we're going to have a very young core next year, especially with Mick Lott and Riv Johnson both graduating. But we are ahead of Appalachian State. That'd be nice to steal him away from App State, as App State is doing excellent so far this year. Now, I think we're shoe-in to get Jeffrey Johnson, though. 6'5". We have been recruiting these huge athletes this year. Jeffrey Johnson, he can play tight end as well. If he did need to switch, he is a guy that can catch the football as well. He played tight end as a sophomore in high school and a freshman. Then he switched to quarterback, and he's been playing there the last couple years. He's still got some learning to do, and that's mainly the reason why he needs help with reading defenses. He's going to come in with a lower overall more than likely because he's going to need some kind of grooming into being a good quarterback. Now, Matt Brooks is a good outside receiver, and he kind of does compare a little bit to Riv Johnson. He has good speed right now, 88. As a freshman, that's really, really good. His catching is going to need to go up. I think that he's going to need some tutoring from, our receivers coach. But we'll have to see. He's pretty decent right now, but I don't know if he's going to start right away. Dontrell Jones probably has the leg up on him as far as incoming freshman receivers. Now, Marty Powers is a decent tight end. Marcus Williams at tight end is graduating. He is a senior, so he will need kind of a battle behind Christopher Dalton as that backup tight end. Dalton will be a junior next year, so maybe even have a future at starter here in Marty Powers. But we'll see. He's 6'4", 235. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Kyle Rudolph. That's the kind of player comparison I have with him. We are ahead 1,000 points over Appalachian State and 2,000 over ECU. Now, another guard coming in this year. We had a couple of guards come in last year. This time, Jake Brown will come in, and I just liked having the depth on the offensive line, especially if we see somebody slacking. I like to have that rotation. I haven't really talked about it too much, but this year, I haven't had the need to kind of rotate guys in. Our starting offensive line has been doing pretty good. We haven't been able to run the ball like we wanted to, but I would say pass protecting, we're not doing bad. Now, Levi Craig is interesting. He is out of Athens, Georgia, a very lanky cornerback, 84 speed. Now, I think that he, along with other cornerbacks, will compete for that nickel position. I kind of like lanky guys at the nickel position because sometimes we'll have them lined up against tight ends. You're going to need to be a bigger body and maybe even longer to guard the bigger tight ends. So keep an eye on him. Then we move over to punter. Matthew Meager is decent. He is 74 overall coming in right now, at least with 50% of his skills unlocked. And we are pretty much ahead for him. We just need to offer him that scholarship, and he should start to fill up his meter there and start to commit to Charlotte. And then our 15th guy will only cover the first 15 is Matt Bailey, a good defensive end. He is going to come in probably the low to mid 60s. Good pursuit right now. I'm hoping that block shedding will actually be higher because that will be interesting to have another edge rusher coming in as a true freshman. So let's look at the Heisman watch here. Master Teague is leading the Heisman race here through the first few games. He's going to be well over 1,000 yards this season and about 20 touchdowns. Kyron Williams is actually fourth on the Heisman race, and then Christopher Rodriguez Jr. rounds it out as a running back at Kentucky. Jack Cohn leads the NCAA in passing touchdowns. I'm surprised to see that. And then how about Sam Howell and DC Raymond, the true freshman? He's up to 90 overall right now. That is incredible production from him so far through the first few games of his career. 12 touchdown passes. And man, this guy is going to be amazing. Probably one of the best quarterbacks we'll see in this entire series. It's going to be a whole lot of fun seeing him grow. Master Teague leads the NCAA in yards and touchdowns. And then receiving-wise, Davis and Jenkins lead the NCAA in touchdowns. And then on the defensive side of the ball, Ty Robinson leads the nation out of Nebraska with 8.5. But how about Gary Anderson? He's top 5 in sacks right now in the nation as well. Now leading the Conference USA in passing, Eric Taylor from Appalachian State. He's thrown 7 touchdowns, 4 interceptions up to this point. And Rochford actually is 4th in passing yards. I was very, very shocked to see this off of about 20 or more fewer attempts, to be honest with you. That's actually really good. He's only thrown 2 touchdowns, though. Definitely want to get it into the end zone through the air more. Lamar Lewis leads the conference in yards and touchdowns on the ground, and then B.J. Alexander leads the conference in yards, and he's actually only has 2 touchdowns. Isaiah Cox, Rosner, and Chisholm are all tied for 4 for the conference lead there. And then defensively, how about Gary Anderson leading the conference in sacks so far? He had 4 in one game. Then he had 1 last game, which totals him to 5. And then Max Liebum and Kevin Knox both have 2. They're only 1 behind the interception leader in the conference. And we'll see how that plays out. I think that Kevin Knox and both Liebum can end up with 5 apiece this year. That would be an awesome season from them, especially for Kevin Knox. He's just a freshman. So heading forward, we do have kind of a weird stretch here. We play Tulane, who's 0-3. Then we play Southern Miss and Appalachian State, who are very good. And East Carolina is not off to a good start. So it's going to be interesting. I'm wondering how conference play will go here because Tulane is not that good. Southern Miss, always good. Remember, they have Frank Gore Jr. there as their running back. So that is going to be interesting. They tore us up last year. And then Week 9, Appalachian State, our rival. That's going to be an excellent game. I can't wait to play Eric Taylor with that new offense and that new team who's pretty much been dominating everybody. So that's going to do it here for the recruiting special. Let me know what you guys think of this year's recruits. I had a whole lot of fun putting it together, and I'm glad some of you guys got into the series. Let me know if you see your guy on our recruiting board. Hit subscribe, hit that like button. Stay tuned. Let's get it. Let's go.
I hope the rain don't come in November.